What's the most meaningful compliment you've ever received? I never thought much about compliments until one day, when I received the most meaningful one of my life. It happened when I was working as a waiter at a local restaurant. It was a busy Saturday night, and I was rushing around trying to keep up with all the orders. As I was taking an order from a couple at one of my tables, I noticed a man sitting alone at the bar. He was older, with gray hair and a kind smile. I didn't think much of it and continued with my work. But a few minutes later, the man called me over. "Excuse me, young man," he said. "I've been watching you work, and I have to say, you're doing an excellent job. You have a real talent for this." I was taken aback by his words. No one had ever complimented me on my work before, especially not a stranger. I thanked him, and he went back to sipping his drink. The rest of the night went by in a blur, but I couldn't stop thinking about what the man had said. It wasn't just the compliment itself that stuck with me, but the way he said it. He seemed genuinely impressed with me, as if he had been watching me for a long time. After my shift, I went back to the bar to thank the man. He introduced himself as Peter and asked me about my life. I told him about my dreams of becoming a writer, and he listened intently, nodding along. Over the next few weeks, Peter became a regular at the restaurant, and we became friends. He would come in and sit at the bar. And we would talk about everything from politics to our favorite books. He was a retired English professor, and I was fascinated by his knowledge and insight. One day, Peter told me that he had a surprise for me. He had read some of my writing and was impressed by it. He offered to introduce me to one of his former colleagues, an editor at a prestigious literary magazine. I was thrilled at the opportunity, but also nervous. I had never shown my writing to anyone before, let alone a professional in the industry. But with Peter's encouragement, I took the chance and sent my work to the editor. To my surprise, the editor loved it. She offered me a job as a freelance writer for the magazine, and my career took off from there. I wrote articles, essays, and even a book, all thanks to Peter's encouragement and support. Years went by, and I lost touch with Peter. I moved to a different city and got caught up in my work. But I never forgot about him and the impact he had on my life. One day, out of the blue, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Peter, who had tracked down my address through a mutual friend. He told me that he was dying of cancer and wanted to reach out to the people who had made a difference in his life. He wrote about how proud he was of me and how much joy it had brought him to see me succeed. He apologized for not staying in touch but said that he had always been rooting for me. I was devastated by the news of Peter's illness but grateful for his words. It was then that I realized the true power of a compliment. Peter had given me more than just a kind word on a busy night. He had seen something in me that I hadn't seen in myself and had taken the time to nurture it. I wrote back to Peter, thanking him for everything he had done for me. I told him that he had been the most meaningful compliment I had ever received, and that his encouragement had changed the course of my life. Over the next few weeks, I wrote letters back and forth with Peter. He told me about his life, his regrets, and his hopes for the future. He had never married or had children, and he was afraid of dying alone. I wanted to do something for him, to repay him for all that he had done for me. So I decided to fly out to see him. When I arrived at his house, Peter was weak and frail. But he still had that kind smile that I remembered from all those years ago. We spent the next few days talking, laughing, and reminiscing about old times. On the last night of my visit, Peter took my hand and looked me in the eyes. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I know I'm not long for this world. But I'm at peace knowing that I made a difference in someone's life. You are going to do great things, my friend. I can feel it. Tears streamed down my face as I hugged him tightly. I didn't want to leave him, but I knew that I had to. As I flew back home, I couldn't stop thinking about Peter and the impact he had on my life. His compliment had been more than just a kind word. It had been a catalyst for change, a spark that had ignited a fire in me. Years went by, and I continued to write and publish. I won awards, received accolades, and even became a mentor to young writers. But I never forgot about Peter and the lessons he had taught me. One day, as I was giving a speech at a writing conference, a young woman approached me. She was in tears, and I could see that she was nervous. "I just wanted to say," she stammered, "that you are my hero. I read your book when I was in high school, and it changed my life. You inspired me to become a writer, and now I'm here, thanks to you." I was stunned. I had never thought of myself as a hero. But hearing those words from this young woman made me realize that the impact of a compliment can be immeasurable. Just like Peter had done for me, I had done for her. As I walked off stage, I thought about all the people who had touched my life. From Peter to this young woman, I realized that we all have the power to make a difference in someone's life. Even with just a few kind words. TLDR, the most meaningful compliment I ever received was not just a simple compliment. It was an act of kindness, encouragement, and mentorship that changed the course of my life. I am forever grateful to Peter for seeing something in me that I had not seen in myself and for nurturing it. His words continue to inspire me to this day. And I hope that I can pass on that same kindness to others.